wasn't good enough on our end. Got to be better.
Throws it to the sideline. Open is Robinson. Down the right sideline. Cuts inside at the 5. In for the touchdown.
Eagles about to be in a 10-point hold to a 1-4 football team. Perch back, throws left, pass intercepted.
We can't keep putting pressure on defense. At some point, we have to carry on with it.
Scottaboo's third rushing touchdown.
Giants lead at 33-17.
Oh, he does a backflip.
There's always lessons to be learned in these things, and we got to choose to learn from it.
Rough night for the Eagles, but let's give the Giants their flowers, especially Jaxson Dart, who had a night to remember. He became the youngest quarterback to defeat a defending Super Bowl champion, throwing for 1 touchdown and 195 yards, while also rushing in a score. Okay, Ruff, let's go. RC, just the beginning, surely. We're just scratching the surface here with Jaxson Dart. But how high do you think his ceiling is?
Jaxson Dart's ceiling is extremely high because he got Riz, right? And that's what the young folks say.
That is what
because
the kids say.
when you look at this team, their level of belief is different in Jaxson Dart. When you see the sideline mic'd up moment of Brian Daboll during his first game against the Chargers, and he said, "That's our bleeping guy." They believe in Jaxson Dart, and he's added something to this team to me that goes above the X's and O's. He's added attitude, he's added hope, he's added belief on top of play. Listen, that's still the defending and reigning Super Bowl champions on the other sideline. That's still a team that coming into this game was 4-1. He had no fear. He threw the football without Malik Neighbors. He threw the football without having people on the outside who we would call stalwarts at the wide receiver position, and he continued to execute. And on top of that, he showed the toughness. This is a guy that gets banged up. He goes into the tent, and as much as his coach was running to the tent to get him out of it, he was imploring doctors to allow him to get back on the field as well. Jaxson Dart is going to be the quarterback of the New York Giants for the next decade and a half, and they're going to win a ton of football games, and a ton of people are going to enjoy watching them play because of the way he approaches the game.
You know what? I agree with you, RC. His ceiling is incredibly high. And listen, we know, there's quarterbacks out there that can throw the football. There's quarterbacks out there who can run the football. He's shown an ability to do both. He's the second leader rusher on the team behind Scatterbull with 167 yards rushing, okay? So that's important. You see the way he juked Zach Barnes last night to run for that first touchdown. I mean, the brother's got wheels on him. So I think that's incredibly helpful because he's mobile. And you also have to take into consideration it's incredibly appreciated if you're a New York Giant fan base, because for years, even though he was a two-time Super Bowl champion, you saw your starting quarterback be relatively immobile in Eli Manning. That's not the case with Jaxson Dart. He can beat you with his legs as well as with his arms. And then he's got that swag about him that New Yorkers gravitate to. I can tell you that because you don't see it too often. I mean, it's a miracle the way the Giants have been as of late. And don't get me started on the New York Jets. So to see somebody like him in Big Blue do the kind of things that he's done while showing the level of toughness and the swag that he has, I mean, you just can't say that enough. But I know the questions about Jaxson Dart. Let me give some love to Scatterbull because this brother's a rough rider, make no mistake about it. My only issue with him are those backflips, because we're talking about football here. You know what I'm saying? I'm just talking about, we're talking, I'm just saying, when you're doing the backflips, anything, I mean, in football, you can get hurt over anything, for crying out loud.
After Cam goes, I wish I didn't see the back,
but that's about it.
Listen, Jaxson Dart gives the flair. Cam Scatterbull gives the grit and the attitude. When you see that dynamic that was on display last night, it's evident. Even Brian
NFL rookie
Daboll is a
Dylan
different
Gabriel
person
will
with
get
him.
his second start of his career when the Browns take on the Steelers this weekend. He showed promise last week in a losing effort against the Vikings, but he's hoping he can get his first career win in Pittsburgh. While Shader Sanders still waits to see if he'll be named QB2, he's throwing his support behind his teammate. We're going to make sure we do everything we can to make sure Dylan ready for the game. So, whatever that means. So each and every day, even when Joe is the start of everything, to prepare the right way and be ready to know that you get out there any point in time. So, I'm overly confident within myself. So, I know when I first got here, I'm ready to play. But, it's up to the coaches and, whatever decision, they make that, then I'm fine with. I think he answered that well. I mean, what else is he going to say? I hope he doesn't play. Of course not. He's going to back up his guy, especially in that very crowded QB room that has been that way for several months. But are we more intrigued to watch Dylan Gabriel or Aaron Rodgers this Sunday? Because we talk about this like old school, new school a quarterback situation, Cam. I'm excited to see Aaron Rodgers, but man, shout out to Shatter, man, for answering that question. And as he get up in the ranking, he's understanding. Hey, you got to keep it polished just a little bit more, man. So, if everybody else ain't going to tell you, bro, man, keep doing you. But back to Rodgers. The Cleveland Browns possess something that Aaron Rodgers and his Steelers offense are deficient at, and that's producing offense. And I want to see this 3-1 record get tested versus a valuable source versus a valuable defense. When you look at the Cleveland Browns, they're number 1 or top 3 in total defense passing defense, a top 5, and then obviously you cannot run the ball on them for no stretch of the imagination. All those things are where the Pittsburgh Steelers are deficient at. They're 31st in rushing. They're 30th in total offense. And as far as passing, they're 27th. My biggest question, as we always talk about, Stephen A's Pittsburgh Steelers is, do they have enough amenities on the offensive side of the football? And the Cleveland Browns have defensively kept them in most games all year. And I don't see that changing moving forward with this week. I'm more intrigued with Dylan Gabriel because I want to see whether or not the Cleveland Browns are going to have a quarterback, especially with watching Jaxson dart last night with the New York Giants. Oh, where's your rookie? Where's your guy? Who's going to step up? And I'm not talking about just playing. I'm talking about magnetizing the crowd. Jaxson Dart was in New Orleans a week ago. He didn't look that great, but he still has Giants fans incredibly excited because of his game and the swag that comes with it. Is there anyone in Cleveland that has that? Shader Sanders thinks he does. But we have to wait to see him play to know whether or not that's true on the NFL level. Dylan Gabriel is one of the more experienced rookies you'll ever see because he was in college for 6 years and played about 64 games. Okay, but what is he going to do on the NFL level? It remains to be seen. I'm curious about that, especially against a Steelers defense that I have not been overly impressed with. I was very impressed with them for 3.5 quarters against Minnesota and Ireland, and then obviously they almost wet the bed, had me texting Ryan Clark and saying they better not lose this damn game on a Sunday morning. That's where I was with that. They better not lose this damn game. It really ticked me off. And so I just want to see what Dylan Gabriel does, because this is what we need to remember with the Cleveland Browns. You don't get to just look at 2025. Y'all, do y'all know they've made the playoffs twice in 23 years? 23 years. They've made the playoffs twice. It's gotten to the point where we have a right to look at the Cleveland Browns organization and ask, hey fellas, do any of y'all know what y'all doing? Any of y'all? Could you figure it out? And I don't enjoy saying that because I'm unapologetic when it comes to black head coaches and black executives. I'm rooting for him, and we know Barry's in Cleveland, and I get that. But I got to see something. I got to see something, and hopefully I'll see that before this season is over that you have definitively found a quarterback. That's why I'm more curious about Dylan Gabriel. Yeah, the first thing I want to say is I'm excited we get to talk about Dylan Gabriel and point out what Cam pointed out. We're talking about Dylan Gabriel because when asked the question about his quarterback position this week, Shatter Sanders said, "We're doing everything to get Dylan prepared." And he answered the question in a way where you couldn't criticize him, where you couldn't talk badly about him, where you couldn't say that he went about anything in the wrong way, which is why he's not a topic right now. And I think that's important to note that it is about growth. It is about understanding, and it is about understanding and playing your role within the locker room, which Shader Sanders did very well during that clip. And now secondly, hell yeah, I want to see Aaron Rodgers. And this is what I be talking about. Stephen A. Fake still a fan bro. How you like, I don't get it. Like I don't you like it's like one of them people that, and Cam talked about it last week, that every time like it's always a compliment sandwich, or hey, I don't mean no disrespect. I'm F to disrespect you, and then how people be like not to bring up old stuff, but I'ma bring up old stuff. Like it's always that I had to text RC last week because I was asking them not to blow this lead. Why don't you just talk about them winning? Because if you talk about them winning, then you can say, okay, this team is 3-1. They're about to face one of the top defenses in football, a defense that's only given up 147 yards pass in the game. And by the way, Megatron plays defensive end for him, and his name is Myles Garrett. How are they going to protect Aaron Rodgers at the age of 41? How is Aaron Rodgers going to get the ball to DK Metcalf when Denzel Ward is locked up on him?